Let me take you back to the year 2006. Bionicle was getting crazy. Gone were the prequel years of Metra Nui, and in was the Voya Nui, Mara Nui saga. And by God, these are some of my favorite years of Bionicle. We got an All-American Rejects collaboration with LEGO, where there was even a sweepstakes where you could win prizes from the All-American Rejects, which that's a whole nother topic that we'll cover in another video someday. But we were getting a new video game, Bionicle Heroes, which was received mixed, but still, it's an enjoyable game. And plus, the story was getting really intense. These characters we had known since they were Matoran were going on their adventures of their own, and we were meeting new characters, some of which we would fall in love. Of course, because of this, LEGO pushed even harder with its merchandise. Now, I had covered some of these in previous videos, such as the infamous Nesquik spinners and various other products, but on my research, I discovered that between 2006 and 7, this wave might have had the most merchandise of any wave. Now, I could be completely wrong, but my best guess is because there was no major film coming out this year, LEGO really wanted to show in your face Bionicle. There's so much merchandise that could be out there that we're still discovering it. So, without further ado, here is the 2006-2007 most obscure merchandise that I was able to find. Let's go. For number 10, we have the Bionicle Ignika postcards. Want your personal writings to be saved? Well, you got the Toa Ignika to accompany them. This is honestly really cool. As someone who still writes postcards to many of my friends in different states and countries, this would have been amazing to get my hands on. Unfortunately, there's very little information on them, and there's only a few images of these postcards. As you can see, they just featured the Toa Ignika. The Barraki also seem to have their own set, but I'm not entirely sure where you would have been able to get these, but they're really cool. Of course, there's not much to say about them, but just kind of a neat piece of Bionicle merchandise that honestly should have continued on. I love me some postcards, and this would have been really cool to get my hands on back in the day. Although, unlike many of the items we're going to cover today, these really you can just make with Photoshop and a printer and some laminated cards and kind of get the same results, but still, really cool. For number 9, we have the Bionicle wallets. Want to be a high roller and carry your cash in a cool way? Well, you should try and get your hands on the Toa Mahri wallets. Now, for some odd reason, the Mahri version just has the logo of the era and Bionicle, whereas the Barraki get their whole cool design. What's up with that? I wonder why the graphic designer decided not to go all out and just have this epic pose of the Toa Mahri together. Of course, this could have been just a limitation with the graphic design, but still, kind of a bummer. These are pretty neat. Now, more than likely, this originally came with a backpack, although it seems like at some point you could buy the wallet itself without the backpack. Regardless of how you got it, it's still really cool. For number 8, we got the Barraki lanyard. Really simple, not much to say about it. It's just a lanyard that was Barraki themed. Of course, I'm not entirely sure how you could have gotten your hands on this back in the day. This feels like something that would have came in a convention that they just hand out to you. Maybe 2007 Comic-Con? It's always possible, but this does exist. Although, unfortunately, I couldn't find any more information on this, and it seems that there are more of them out there, as a couple with the 3 virtues have appeared online. Who knows how many more could be out there, waiting to be discovered. For number 7, we have the notepad from the Toa Mahri. Now, this one is kind of an interesting oddity. There was some sort of production error where Kongu on the right has multiple guns. I mean, I understand LEGO obviously wanted to give him a ton of firepower, and I mean, 2 hands equals 2 guns, but geez, 3 Kodak blasters? This is a bit overkill. It's honestly just a generic notepad, although, believe it or not, they weren't the only Toas to get their hands on this kind of thing. The Metru also got a notepad, but as far as we can tell, these were the only 2 line of Toa to ever get their own notepad, so a bit of a shame, but still, really cool piece of merchandise and would have been really useful back in the day. But like many pieces of merchandise that I've covered, good luck getting your hands on one of these. For number 6, we've got stickers. Now, since Bionicle started around 2001, stickers have sort of been common, and most came in a book, traditionally. However, by 2006, getting your hands on Toa Ignika or Toa Mahri stickers was a little more tricky. Unlike previous stickers, these were kind of sold together in packs, but most of them come from books that were released around the time. I managed to get my hands on an activity book that was only released in the UK, and it does feature some of these Bionicle stickers. So I guess depending on what region you lived in, you could get your hands on some of these relatively easily. But again, it really depends where you're coming from, and these stickers are not really rare, but they're just kind of hard to come by. Bionicle would continue the sticker trend with 2008 and 2009, although quickly, the 2009 wave is interesting as Gresh's prototype image actually appears. I guess when they were designing these stickers, his final design hadn't been approved yet, so they just went with the prototype version. Now going back to the main subject of the video, if you wanted stickers of the Barraki, Paraka, and Toa Ignika and Mahri, you had plenty of options back in the day. For number 5, we're heading into quite obscure territory. So be warned, the following entries are going to become harder and harder to get your hands on. Although they're not rare per se, they're just obscure and kind of expensive when they do come up. It's like you really got to know when to catch these. For number 5, we've got the messenger bag. Now, not a lot of information available on this, but it's honestly really cool. I haven't really had a chance to say this, but it really shows how LEGO just kind of went all out with the Toa Mahri and Toa Ignika. They really wanted everyone to know what they were, no matter the user of the product. I bet some random person probably needed a messenger bag. One day, they bought this and they had no idea what the heck the Toa Mahri were, but they thought it was cool. That's brand recognition, my friend. You get the word out. And I mean, it's a messenger bag, so it's spreading the message even more. This is kind of hard to come by, and there isn't that many pictures of it, but from what we can tell, it's just got a generic picture of the Toa Mahri together. But hey, it's got a LEGO sticker still attached to it. Oh well, price tag. That's pretty cool. For number 4, we've got the gym bag. Yep, want to work out, gain that muscle, go from a 0 to a hero? Well, you're going to need a Bionicle gym bag. Now, these were started with, as far as I can tell, the Toa Ignika, and made their way to the Toa Mahri, and then of course the Barraki. Although in my opinion, the Toa Ignika and Barraki ones clearly shine. The Toa Mahri one is my least favorite just because of the graphic design. Now it's always possible there are more of these out there. There was a sighting of a Bionicle gym bag in the Czech Republic of the Glatorian Legends car. So there's always the possibility that more of these are out there. They're just not well documented. I have a couple of these gym bags at home, and I'd honestly love to get my hands on a couple of these Bionicle ones, but like many of the pieces I've covered in today's video, they're really rare, and when they do come up in the market, they're really expensive. And getting one in like brand new condition is probably going to be impossible. I imagine if any of these go on sale, they're going to show their age. But if you want to get your hands on one, good luck. For number 3, I've decided to put these two together as they can essentially be used for the same thing, and I'm sure their original purpose wasn't used to the fullest. We've got the Bionicle sports bag and the Bionicle trolley set. Now, firstly, the Bionicle sports bag, it basically has what we've kind of seen as a growing trend. It's got the Toa Ignika, no Paraka one in sight. Then of course, it's got the Toa Mahri and the Toa Barraki. Toa Barraki? Jesus, it's 2 in the morning. I really gotta get some sleep. Like several of the items I've covered before, the Ignika and Barraki ones, in my opinion, really shine, and the Toa Mahri one, for some reason, just seems really low effort. Although from the images I can see, it seems like they just took the graphic design of all of them together and have the logo kind of on the top. Again, really rare. You can get your hands on them, go for it, but be prepared to spend a premium if you want to get one in really good condition. Moving on to the trolley set, it's sort of the same game, but this time they only made for the Toa Ignika and the Barraki. Now what's interesting about these is They're very reminiscent of a trolleying set that's available today, which you can buy at certain bricks and minifigs and Lego stores around the globe. Of course, these are very primitive compared to the ones that are available today, and they only really have just Bionicle brand on here. They're not really quote-unquote Lego trolley sets, but I thought I'd point that out. These honestly look really good, but again, if you want to get your hands on one, you really got to look for them, and if they are around, they're going to cost a premium. That's just sort of the name of the game when it comes to this. I'm assuming that, like with the gym bag, these were all made by a similar company, but I really couldn't find much information. And again, these were likely probably sold in stores, Lego themed, where you could buy sports gear like this or just trolley cases like this. But again, really cool. And if you want to get your hands on these, good luck. Now for number 2, we're heading into some serious obscure territory. I'm talking literally to the point where not a single image of this exists, and this product might not even exist at all. I'm talking about the Toa Ignika Bionicle binder. Now, only a pixelated image of this product has ever been shown, so my best guess is this was likely shown on for sale on some website, and someone took a very pixelated screenshot of it, and this might be the only photo of this product existing. Now, it's always possible this thing could turn up any day, but as far as I can tell, no one has sold one, and it's very mysterious. So, quick editor's note. A Bricklink listing has recently appeared for the binder. The seller wants $24 US for it. Unfortunately, I'm probably not going to buy it because of the stupid tariffs that are going on right now. I've contacted the seller to see if he can send me some clear photos of the binder. If they don't end up in this video, then either he didn't respond to my message, or I'll just post them to Reddit or something like that. So I guess now we have undeniable proof that this item does exist. And if you happen to be in Norway and want to get this really rare item, go ahead, it's yours. Unlike some of the other products that have been featured here, Bricklink has had blurry images, but a quick Google search can reveal a clearer image, and you can even check eBay and find some rare Bionicle merchandise yourself. From what we can tell though, the binder really wasn't anything special. It just had Toa Mahri's face on it, and it looks like some of the Toa were at the top too, but of course with many of these products, they get cut out depending on how it's made together. So yeah, that's pretty much the Bionicle binder. If you own this, consider yourself very lucky. So because this list could be long and long, I decided to have a little honorable mentions list. Now, one that I couldn't include because I had already kind of covered headgear was, of course, the Barraki Takedox head mask. This was basically just like all the other ones I've covered, but it was based off of Takedox, although I feel bad for Takedox. It looks like he got run over by the Toa terrain crawler, and now you can wear his mask, like your enemies. Another one I mentioned years ago was the Ignika shooter, which was basically to compete with Nerf gun. Well, the Barraki had their own version, which, ironically, is way better than the squid shooter ever could be. But again, I felt that it would kind of be a disservice mentioning these two again. Although I hadn't mentioned the Barraki shooter, but I thought I'd mention it here again, as it's pretty cool, but again, it's just sort of a Nerf gun toy. Another item I wanted to mention was the Barraki drinking bottle. Pretty self-explanatory. It just kind of is a drinking bottle that is Barraki. Another one that's kind of mysterious is the Barraki pen. It's just a gel pen. I could only really find one picture of it with Takedox, but I'm sure the others might have had pens. It's very reminiscent of the lightsaber pens that are sold at Lego stores today. But again, this kind of branding that's so obscure, things like this just kind of pop up whenever. Another thing I wanted to bring up was the Barraki notepad and pens that you could buy. Although unlike the one I showed previously, these were gel pens. Again, super mysterious, not much information, but pretty cool. For number 1, we've got the Party Pinata Bionicle party invitation sheet, and Bionicle, get this, reusable plates and cups birthday. So I essentially decided to clump these all together as they basically serve the same purpose. Now, like many pieces on this list, they're quite mysterious. However, unlike many previous entries, we do have an archive of where this stuff came from. These were featured on a party website where you could have custom designs of certain brands and basically have it shipped to your house so you could host events with this. Now, what this implies is that these might not have even existed. They had the graphic designs and whatnot, but more than likely, these were just generic party gimmicks that were Bionicle themed, but you would have to order them online, and then get a physical thing. So, the chances of these still existing are very, 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 very rare. I personally don't see any of these being around today. If, by a slim chance, somebody did order this and had it at one point, more than likely it was all thrown away and destroyed. Now, there is a very slim chance that the birthday party card invitation sheet could be out there somewhere. Somebody might have it in a notebook or a book or hiding somewhere, but everything else, including the paper plates and the piñata, more than likely would have been destroyed. This is one of the few cases of Bionicle merchandise on these lists that I've done so far, where the item in question could have very easily not been preserved. Let's play a game here. Let's say the possibility that these survived are very, very unlikely. However, there's always a possibility that maybe a store was selling these and that it closed for whatever reason, and that somewhere out there in an abandoned store, a Bionicle Barraki piñata and a Barraki party set full of cups and plates is still out there somewhere. Of course, the chances of that are very, very slim. Or maybe, just maybe, someone's mom bought all of this stuff and never used it for whatever reason, and it's just collecting dust in someone's basement. But until that day happens, I personally feel like these items just don't exist anymore. This is, without a doubt, the most obscure 2006 to 7 merchandise. Just in the fact that no listing has ever come up for these being sold, no one has ever taken photos other than the ones that have been shown here that were taken by the company, and it just leads me to believe that likely if these were bought, they were used, they were loved, and then discarded. Of course, I could be very, very wrong, but this is just how I feel personally with what we know and what we've seen. So, that is the 2006 to 7 most obscure pieces of merchandise that I was able to find. Of course, there were a couple that I did also find, but I'm saving those for a future video. And stay tuned. This is the 10th anniversary of me owning this channel. So, while the video rate has been very slow, I hope to have at least one more video before the year ends. Thank you for stopping by. I'm Mask Maker Buddy. You folks have a lovely night.